All righty, everybody. Welcome in. It's so great to have you, especially to those that are in my Riches in Real Estate Niches group. So excited to have you here and bring this to you today. So let's get ready for a conversation that's about to challenge maybe a lot of things that you know about real estate investing. Today, we're going to dive into a niche that is really profitable, wildly underserved, and recession resistant. And I guarantee most of you aren't thinking big enough about it. Maybe you don't even know about this. My guest today is someone who has completely changed the game in this space. Isabel Guarino is the COO of Residential Assisted Living Academy, a best-selling author, national speaker, and industry leader, guiding over 100,000 investors and entrepreneurs into a model that generates 5K, 10K, even 15K a month in net cash flow, all from a single family home. But here's a real kicker. This isn't just another real estate play. It's about creating sustainable wealth while meeting a critical need in our country. And if you've been looking for an investment that actually protects you from market crashes and economic downturns, this might be exactly what you're looking for. So, Isabel, welcome in. I cannot wait to dive into this. Let's get started with how you even got started in the first place in residential assisted living.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here and be able to share with everyone about this opportunity. Because like you said, I think it's a perfect blend of what you guys are already talking about. And I love the concept of the riches in the niches, because I think it's just so, you got to do that these days. Regular single family home investment opportunities are not working. So we've got to get creative. We've got to figure out a way to make it happen. So thanks for having me. And I got started. I know you and I have had conversations in the past about your medical background and seeing this opportunity and need. That's not where we started. I was a real estate investor. My grandmother fell, broke her hip. She needed assistance in care. And from that perspective of a family member needing it, we started looking at the options, as everybody does. And I was disgusted at everything that was available. The ratios were terrible. There might be 30 seniors to one caregiver. It smelled bad. The food was bad. They were expensive and had waiting lists. And I quickly kind of realized, like, hey, there has to be something different. There has to be something better. And we kind of stumbled into residential assisted living and purchased our first care home with the intent to move my grandmother in and have a place for her where she could get that quality care and love that we all so deserve and want towards the end of life. And really, the rest is history. After that, it just snowballed into this incredible journey for me and my family, investing in these homes and sharing with others how to do the same.
I love that so much. And I love that it came from your personal experience. And then as an investor, that's the entrepreneurial mindset, right? Figuring out where the need and the demand is, and then filling that, and then pulling together a beautiful plan. And look at what you've done. You've accomplished so many tremendous things. We're going to talk about all of those. I think I need to lower my lighting. So, hey, we're live. We got to do what we got to do. I feel like I'm glowing a little too much. Okay, let's dive in here. Let's talk about the why. Okay, so what makes residential assisted living a standout investment? And let's compare it to the traditional things that most people are thinking of. They're talking about fix and flip. We're talking about, the landlord scenario. So we've got tenants, toilets, and all kinds of problems there. What's different about this?
When it comes to residential assisted living, it's still a single family home, right? I say that with quotations if you're not watching, if you're just listening, because most people, when you say that, they think a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot type home. That's not the only type of single family home, right? There are homes that are 7,000 square feet that are 6-bed, 5-bath, or even more than that. And they are still zoned residential. They are still residential homes. And that's more along the lines what we're talking about. Large, luxury, upscale real estate in really nice parts of town. But at the end of the day, it's still a residentially zoned home that's housing somewhere between 6 and 16 seniors in that home. There's 24/7 care, activities, food, medication support, all of those different things that you need towards the end of life. So it's not just a real estate play, it's also a business opportunity, but the cash flow is so much better because it's not one family coming in paying, a couple extra $100 a month. And let's be real, you're pocketing that for when the roof goes out or the floor needs repair or the AC, because all that profit in a year or 2 years could be gone for one major repair. With residential assisted living, the average cost of care in our country today is right around $5,500 per month per resident. So if you have 10 residents in the home, you're bringing in 55, mortgage might be around 10, expenses maybe 35,000. That one home cash flows you $10,000 a month. So that's what we show people how to do. And it's just a unique way to use residential real estate for maximizing the profit and giving a great opportunity, like we talked about with the seniors and the families.
I love that so much. And, let's talk baby boomers. We've got a huge demand in the market for something creative. We are looking at a traditional standard assisted living that might not cash flow or profit very much. There's a lot of snags in that setup. So now this is really just niching down and making this, I think, more personable of an experience in the first place, because most people that are looking like you have for a grandmother or a parent want that home-like feel. And we don't often get that in the institution-sized setups because they're marketing to massive amounts of people with major, beds being filled. And of course, the challenge with that would be the ratio to patient care. So now we're stepping into a scenario where we've compressed that to a manageable amount of people. They're going to get better care, my guess. And now we have a ability to solve a problem with the staffing because it's not such a massive undertaking. How do you speak to the difference between, the staffing of a residential assisted living and the care that can be delivered at that level? Because you're really more one-on-one.
100%. People often say, well, I never want to go into assisted living and I want to pay for in-home care. And it's like, that's amazing. But with the average cost being $33 an hour, if you need 24/7 care 30 days a week, that's almost $24,000 a month to leave, to be at home with that one-on-one support. And that's not including the mortgage, the food, the activities, the cable, the medications. Most people can't afford that. So
Right.
They think this is a great option, but it's really out of reach for more and more Americans. So this is kind of that perfect alternative. Hey, you don't want terrible care ratios in a large, big box community, 30-1, where you're being neglected and abused. And let's call it what it is. It should be illegal, but no one cares about seniors in our country, it seems. So, and you can't afford one-on-one in-home care. This is that perfect in between. You're in a home. It's not home-like. It's a home. You are getting a lot better care because it's a 4-1 or 5-1 ratio. So when you need help, they can actually support you. There's a wild statistic that says the average response time in a big box facility is 4 hours. The average response time in an assisted living is 90 seconds.
Wow.
Which one do you want? You fall, you need help, you wet yourself, like all these different scenarios. And I hear these stories every single day over and over and over of a senior who went through this, who experienced this, and the family is pissed, for lack of a better word, because they're paying out the wazoo for it and they're not getting what they were promised. In an RAL or residential assisted living, that we can actually fulfill on those promises because we have those ratios down. We can actually see all the seniors. We know where they're at. We know what's going on because it's in a home. So it's really the best of both worlds. And it's an opportunity for you to, as an adult child, not feel guilty about having to put your loved one into a home because you know that they're going to get the best of the best care, probably better than you could provide at home. Many people aren't born to be a caregiver, or they can't adequately quit their job. They need 2-income households these days. So it's not always an option to do it yourself. It's not always financially an option to pay for one-on-one care. And we all know what's happening in those big boxes. So this to me is kind of like the Uber when all we knew was taxi. It's so much so the better option. It's coming to the market. There's a massive need. Like you said, the silver tsunami of seniors is coming. The boomers have been driving our economy for the last 70 plus years, and they're going to keep driving the economy until their final days. So this is just about following the money and doing something that not only cash flows, but supports your own family. When they need care and assistance, they can move in. It really kind of ticks a lot of boxes in a certain way.
It sure does. And great response. I love your passion that I'm sensing in your voice. And this is what's needed. Just being a registered nurse myself, seeing the home care setting, understanding the needs from just interacting with family members, maybe not even really talking about where they're going to go. But when something happens, there's a fall, there's an injury, there's an illness, the decision making is super quick at that point in time. Where's mom going? Where's dad going? And, we need investors out there that really get this picture, not just as an investment strategy, but also as how we're solving a critical need in the country. So let's speak to the investor, and who is this not for?
Oh, I love that. We have taught so many people how to get into this training. And one of the first things I say when you walk into our class is, if you're here for get rich quick, if you're here to become a millionaire overnight, if you aren't willing to put in the work, if you don't care about seniors, get out. Because I don't want to teach you. I don't want to train you. There are hoops to jump through, and it's not the easiest industry to get into. That's why a lot of education is required. But it is one of those things where if you don't care about seniors, you should not get into this, because you have to have the heart. It can't be all heart, but it can't be all money, money, money. It's got to be the equal balance of doing good and doing well. And I know, we've talked about before, the impact is not just on the seniors, but it's also on the caregivers. Caregiving is one of the most number one in-demand jobs in our country today. CNAs, home health aides, all of that. And it's going to be for the next 30 years. So this is an opportunity where you can serve the staff, because the staff in a big box, 30-1, getting paid the same, in your home 4-1, completely different experience for them. They actually get to do what they signed up to do. Caregiving's a tough gig. And these days you could get paid the same at In-N-Out or Chick-fil-A. And it's like, they're signing up to do this because they care, because they have a heart. And then the system is set up to fail them in a larger community. This is an opportunity for you to give them the actual platter where it's like, okay, you can do what you want to do, and I'll support you. I'll be a good boss. I'll be with you along the ride. And that's just, to me, honestly, probably one of my favorite parts of this industry, is that everyone thinks you're going into it to impact and serve the seniors. And yes, you are, but you forget that actually you change lives with those caregivers as well. And when they say thank you, or you're the best boss ever, or wow, like I'm so grateful. One of my caregivers the other day, she had called not me, but she called the administrator to say basically, hey, I'm going to be late for work. One of my tires blew. And I literally was like, find out where she is, went out, met her on the highway, said, go take my car to work. And I took her car to the tire shop, got her 4 new tires, brought it back to the care home. And she's like, that would have been, a week's worth of pay for me. What do I owe you? And I'm like, nothing. Like, you did the right thing by calling us, by not no-showing us. Like, I know you care. You love these seniors. Let me love on you a little bit. Mm-hmm. People have such a hard time with retention of caregivers. And to be frank, it's because they don't care. They don't treat them well. When you treat them well, they'll treat your seniors well. So my number one focus is loving on them, treating them. When I'm cash flowing $10K a month on one home, $400 of tires, it's nothing. Come on. So it's like those little things where you just have to have that full circle moment to say, who are you going to be as a business owner? Who are you going to be as a boss? And when you choose to step up, the whole world changes.
I love that so much. Kudos to you, because that's not the typical experience, as you've said, that a caregiver or a nurse or somebody like that would be receiving. Usually it would be the complete opposite. So, and that's why so many are looking for an alternative. And I think this is grand exposure to sharing this opportunity with healthcare workers, because there's a crossover here between a very unique opportunity to get out of the big hospital setting and transition into something a little more personable, because I feel as though that's a lot of why these caregivers in the first place go into healthcare, is to provide that holistic care, that loving touch, that compassion. And that gets chiseled away when staffing is an issue and you're doing 12-hour shifts and you're being called in on your day off. So respecting those boundaries and providing an environment for those aides, or, whoever your staff might be, I think is a win-win. And like you said, retention is absolutely paramount in this, because it's like a domino effect. It really is. The investor has to care a great deal. He has to love on those caregivers, who all are then going to be loving on these seniors, which then affects the family dynamic. So we're really making a huge impact with this one investment. And, in my community, and at least in the beginning, most of my investors in my community were women. It's now open to men, and there's a lot more of those guys hanging around too, which is great. But many of the women, and I echo this, have said to me, I got into real estate investing because I want to make a difference. Mm-hmm. I really want to make a difference in communities and neighborhoods. And, it's not just all about, like you said, the money, but really what's the impact? I feel like there's a higher calling, and I really want to be a part of that. This is perfect for that particular type of investor that really wants to make that impact and, really affect the future of a family in general. Because, just saying like one hip break in a nursing home setting can absolutely be a death sentence to a senior. But when we have a 90-second response rate, like you just said, the likelihood of that happening at all. So I don't know if there's statistics done or any kind of KPIs being done in these particular settings, looking at the impact of proximity and how we're not going to maybe have those accidents as readily because of more eyes on. Have you seen anything like that? Are you able to look at this, a little bit more the numbers side?
The reason we know that 4-hour versus 90-second is because of systems like Care Predict or Innovative Senior. It's a wearable tracking technology that basically the caregivers on their cell phone can see where the seniors are in the home at all times, because there's geofencing happening in the home. If someone falls, it auto alerts a caregiver, hey, Susie fell, this is where she is. They can just press their button, and it's their call button, but they're wearing it, so that's nice. And when they press it or when they fall, it starts tracking that time. It's also tracking all of their vitals, just like a Fitbit or an Oura Ring might. So it's tracking blood pressure and things of that nature. It's able to predict that you may get a UTI, which is also a kiss of death for a senior. So there's so much amazing technology happening with that. But the biggest thing that I'm noticing is a lot of our students are putting that technology into their home, and they can receive their data, but Care Predict as a company is not necessarily publicizing it, because if they did, once again, we'd have a big nasty light shined on big boxes, and they have a lot of money, power, and resources, and they would shut it down. And so it is one of those sticky situations where we're kind of up against the big boys right now. And if data came out and people were exposed, what's crazy is some people don't even know that RALs exist. They may live near one and not even know it exists. And I really see that we're going to start to have this exposure, but it's not coming as fast as I'd want. So the data is not necessarily coming out that is pro for us just yet, because I think people are afraid of being shut down and what's going to happen if. I mean, it's kind of like what we're seeing with Airbnb right now, where you have the hoteliers who have a lot more money and power and resources than the solopreneur. And you've got cities like Atlanta, Nashville, Scottsdale, Honolulu, making it basically impossible for Airbnb owners to cash flow anymore. And it's because of their power that they got the states and the cities to go in their favor. I'm afraid of that happening with the big boxes. And that's why we created the REL National Association, It's the only association that represents all 30,000 group homeowners. So we've got lobbying and legal backing and power. So when a big box in your area tries to implement some rule or regulation that's not in favor of us, we go out there and fight for you, because what I don't want to happen is what's happening with Airbnb. And I mean, money talks. So we have to figure out a way to prove, and data and statistics are going to be the thing that can really get us in that direction.
I love that so much. The technology off the hook. I'm assuming AI is going to creep into the space to benefit and streamline systems and processes, making it even easier over time for those operating, because now we have a great workflow. It doesn't eliminate any of the care. It just simply makes running it a lot easier and smoother, collecting data and that sort of thing. So I think we're going to see that trend in healthcare. It's not going to be a trend. It's here to stay, and it's here now. And I think that's going to also impact, which is tremendous. Let's talk about the investor. So we've sort of piqued interest here in the audience. And for those of you stepping in, maybe midway of this conversation, I'm here with Isabel Guarino. She is the COO. And I am so excited to have her here because she's talking about residential assisted living, which she also has an academy. And we're going to share that link where you can join if you should like to do that at the end. But I'd like to talk to the investor who, okay, I've heard about this. I like the idea. My heart and soul's in it. I really want to get started. What's my buy box criteria? I'm used to looking at fix and flips, the 3-2, the 2-1 that I can add on. That's different in this scenario because the need of the resident is now extremely different. How am I getting out there into the market and looking and finding the ideal property?
There's really three things that we need to focus on: demographics, zoning, and then those buy box criteria. So demographics is the first thing that you have to have correct or it will not work. And what I mean by that is we want the home to be in an area where the majority population is 50 to 70 years old, upper middle class, making 2 times the median income, maybe homeowners, maybe college grads. That is not the senior, it's the adult child. And they want to be 5 minutes, away from mom or dad on their way home from work. They do not want to be 45 minutes down the road. So you want to be in the area where they live, eat, work, sleep, play. So the first things first, run the demographics of your area to find out exactly the zones you want to be in. Second is zoning. Most of these homes are zoned residential. They're licensed homes, and the license is based on the safety within the home. It does not have to be ADA compliant, but you want it as close to that as possible. So ramps, guardrails, handrails, maybe fire suppression or sprinklers, maybe an elevator if it's a multi-level home. Those are renovations and things you're going to need to do to get it up to code, get it up to speed. We're also, when we move over to the buy box criteria, we're looking for something larger. Think 300 to 500 square feet per resident. We're looking for something that already has a lot of bedrooms and bathrooms, or rooms that could easily be converted by putting up a wall and, okay, now a master becomes 2 rooms or whatever the case is, or a garage build out. So maybe you don't have to add on, 3,000 square feet. You could just kind of chop it up differently inside. But what we're not doing is like pad split, where we're just taking a home and completely chopping it up. No living room, no dining room. No, they still need all of those things, maybe even more of those things. We want a library, a hair salon, a movie theater, like think luxury home. I've been in friends' parents' homes who they have movie theaters, right? It's not crazy. These are in regular residential real estate all the time, just maybe not what you're looking for as a single family investor. So larger, more bedroom bathrooms, that good footprint. But here's things to that you don't have to worry about. I'm going to say, you don't have to worry if it has a power line out front of it. You don't have to worry if it backs up to a train. You don't have to worry if it's near a fire station, police station, Target parking lot behind it. You don't have to worry if it's on a busy road. All of those things do not matter to us. They're actually fine. But for a regular single family investor, they're like, oh, busy road. No, Johnny kicks a soccer ball on the road. We all know what happens. That's a no-no. But for us, busy road, bingo. like that's more eyes on the home. That's more people driving by. So I love a busy road. I don't mind being near any of those things because all of those things tell me people are coming, people are driving by, and that's what I want. Exposure, exposure, exposure. So first is demographics, second, check for zoning. Third, we're looking for that larger footprint, more square footage, more bedroom, bathroom. And fourth, it's kind of the, hey, we don't care what everybody else wants. This is what we want.
Perfect. I love that detailed explanation. So qualifying the investor, entry into the investment, what are the key elements that you need as an investor to say, yeah, I've got the buffer, I've got the oops factor, I've got the credit score, I've got the access to the, maybe it's other people's money. What type of investment strategies can you share that a typical investor can step into knowing I have some options here?
There's really 4 ways to get started, and all 4 of them require a different amount of capital. So first, you could lease a home to use for this, and that's probably the least amount of capital. Maybe it's a security deposit, first month, last month, something like that. When you're leasing a home, you're usually signing a 5 to 10 year contract with the landlord. So you're planning roots, you're establishing a brand and a reputation. You may be able to sign in an option to renew or an option to purchase, kind of locking in some of what you paid or some rates that you have going. So that's kind of the most inexpensive way. But the con is you don't own the real estate. So you're not getting that appreciating asset. But if you don't have a lot of capital and you want to get started, that's kind of a way to go about this. Next is buying an existing RAL business. So I mentioned there's 30,000 of these across the country. You can buy one up and running. You're buying the real estate, which is going to cost however much real estate costs in your area. And then the business, which is 2 to 5 times the EBITDA. Obviously, if I'm a seller, I want it on the top end. If I'm a buyer, the low end, it's probably going to be 3 to 4 times right in the middle, right there. But that's a way to pay for speed and get up and running quickly. In that example, you could be using owner financing. You can get an SBA loan, a traditional bank loan, or private money. I love private money for RAL because they don't want to see their money back for 3 to 5 years. So it's a great timeline for us. Hard money doesn't really work because you're not cash flowing really well that quickly, but 3 to 5 years gives you that buffer to really get up, get running, get your systems, get your marketing, your cash flowing well, and now you can pay your investors back.
Love that. And when we're looking at a multifamily, not that this is apples to apples because I know it's simply not, but we would look at profit per unit. And what can we say in terms of per resident? And I don't mean to word it in a way that sounds like numbers on a head, but what does that roughly look like?
Yeah, it's so different because the cost of how much it costs to live in one of these homes varies so greatly. So when we say the average is $5,500 per month per person, that's because government funding, Medicare, Medicaid, is paying out about $2,000 a head. And private pay, which is what we focus on, pays, typically people are paying $7,000 to $12,000 a month. So it's bringing us to that middle line. So it's hard to say, but in the example I shared earlier, if it was an average home at $5,500 and you had 10 residents and you're cash flowing 10, that would be $1,000 a month per head. But most of our students are really seeing a lot higher than 10, whether it's $20,000 that they're taking home every month on one home or even up to 40, because we're focused on private pay. We don't focus on anything on the low end. So it's a lot higher in that example. Maybe it's 2,000 a head or 4,000 a head, but it really is dependent on how many residents you have, where it's located, and then what level of care they need. The more care you need, the more it costs to stay in the home. If it's memory care, that costs more. There's so many factors involved.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying that. Now, in terms of private pay, and we're dealing directly with the actual family making the payments, are we placing this in a family trust, an LLC? How is an attorney getting involved in terms of contracts and making things easier so that we can consistently make sure that we are getting paid?
So 2 parts of that question. Yes. Number 1, typically all the physical real estate will be in different LLCs, and then the ops companies will be in different LLCs. Sometimes there's even another one as well, just to kind of back it up and really shield and protect yourself as far as, ownership and things of that nature. I'm not a lawyer and I don't play one on TV, but we do partner with Prime Corporate Services, Anderson Advisors, Protect Wealth, a bunch of different companies that come to our trainings and set our students up, give them free LLCs and consultations to kind of structure it perfectly. So yes, everything is set up like that. They've also done, they've done my trusts and my will and everything like that. So they do that for a lot of our students as well.
Perfect.
On the other hand, how you get paid, a lot of times you have to think if the person living in your home is 95 years old, their child may be 70 or 75 years old. So a lot of people, I had someone who was like, can they pay in crypto? And I was like, they're probably just totally bugged out of crypto. What do you mean, can they pay in crypto? So like people are like, well, can they Venmo me? Can they Zelle me? I'm like, many times they are writing a check. They are coming to physically drop off the check. We have a little mailbox inside the house where we say, you can come and drop off your check. And I hate to say this, but this is the truth. A lot of times, that time when they come to drop off the check may be the only time they come visit that month.
Yes.
That's very common. So I don't mind a physical drop off. For those who do live out of state or have other situations, we do an ACH transfer. I don't do any credit or background checks on my residents' families. But the reality is, if you are signing up to pay $8,000 a month for mom or dad's care, you're not going to just drop them off and abandon them. And if you did, worst case scenario, it's just like if you were to drop a child off at daycare and never come back. They'd call CPS on you. You'd get arrested for child abuse or child neglect. Exact same scenario with senior housing. If you stop paying and stop responding to us, we call the cops, you get arrested. Like, it's a legal matter. So it's really not happening at the level we're at. If you were in government funded type homes, it might be, but that's not the game I play.
Got it. I love that. So I'm an investor. I'm stepping in. I'm now assessing properties. I found something. Now I need to market the property to the consumer. What is the typical, and I'm sure in your academy, there's like full blown up, walkthrough and education on all of this, but just to highlight it here, what's the marketing strategy? How are people connecting with the real need for this residential assisted living within a community?
There's really there's so many ways to do this, but I'm going to say three. First, you need a web presence. If your mom or dad need assistance right now, probably the number one place you're going to go is assisted living in XYZ city. So you need web presence. That's a Facebook page. That's, a website, all of that good stuff. You're also going to need community influence. So what I mean is partnering with geriatric doctors, elder law attorneys, hospice agencies, adult daycare centers, senior centers, churches, synagogues, temples. All of those different people are community influences that will help send leads your way, possibly for no cost. So that can be a great way to get leads. The third and the highest pay, but one of the fastest ways to fill your beds, is working with placement agents or referral agents. They're basically a realtor for bodies in the assisted living world. A family comes to them, says, hey, we have, we want these amenities, this location, this price point. They shop you around to different homes, cost the family nothing, cost the care home owner half of the first month's rent, all the way up to the entire first month's rent. That's usually their fee. So you sign contracts with placement agents and they bring you leads all the time. So there's really a bunch of ways to market, but I would say those are your three main ways.
I love it. Now, let's talk about investor roles and responsibilities in how they function as the owner. And are they able to be hands-free at all on the operation? And what does that look like in terms of hiring the right people?
A beautiful question. So I really show people how to do it like I do it, which is 5 hours a week on 3 care homes. I do not want to show you how to build yourself a job because, if you want to go work in the home and live in the home and do all that stuff, you do you, right? But for me, no, that's not what I want. I want this to be a genuine investment and we're something that I don't have to go visit. I'm not required to be there. I get to have my, once a week Zoom meeting with my licensed administrator. We go through all the nitty gritty and then she calls or texts me as needed. Throughout the week, I'm checking in on payroll or, maybe taxes or doing random things, but it's genuinely meeting, phone calls, and that's really it. Now, in the beginning, No, it's a whole lot more work. You've got to get the home, renovate it, market it, hire your staff, do all of this stuff. But once you have those systems and those strategic hires, your licensed administrator being that huge strategic hire, they're kind of like your property manager in the real estate world. So they do your hiring, firing, training, onboarding of your caregivers. They do a lot of your marketing, your tours, your resident intake, and they also deal with all of your independent contractors, activities, handyman, chef, bug guy, whoever it is. They're dealing with kind of all those aspects of the home. So that is your key hire and the one who allows you to be hands-off. It's not a hands-off industry, but you can be hands-off as the owner if you set it up the way you want it to be in year 5 on day 1. This isn't a let me work and I'll work myself out. No. People do that all the time. And I'm like, you just built yourself a job, baby. Like, don't do that. So we show you how to be super hands-off and passive, but most everybody else who trains on this teaches you how to be very hands-on and very in it. So if you are interested in learning about this, like, be cautious who you're learning from. What does their life look like? And is that what you want your life to look like? Like really pay attention to that.
Love that. So your licensed administrator, who in particular is that? Is this someone with a business background? Is this someone in healthcare that has a degree in maybe nursing or whatever, maybe has operated a home healthcare company? What are you looking for in that particular person?
Honestly, the answer is probably no to almost all of those. So 80% of this industry is run by immigrants. So almost every administrator I've had is from another country. They grew up caring for seniors. They love seniors. They've worked in care homes as a caregiver. One day they said, I'm going to go get my manager's license. They got their license and now they run these smaller care homes. It is a very tight knit industry. Everyone knows everyone. And people bebop from house to house. Many times your caregivers are doing shift work like a nurse. So they may work 3 or 4 days for you and 3 or 4 days for the guy down the road. So it's very tight knit. A lot of your licensed administrators, they just have that license. It's an administrator's license given to them by the state. The requirements of every single state vary greatly. Some of them are like 60-hour, training and a 4-hour course that you have to re-up every 2 years. Others of them are like, be 18 and have a GED and take this little 20-minute quiz. Like it is low in some states and it's a lot higher in others. I'm in Arizona and for me, it's a lot higher in my state. It's actually a lot stricter, but they're not a nurse. They're not anything even like that. It may be an LPN or a CNA, so a lot lower level, but nothing as intense as a full nursing degree.
Okay, great. That's a surprising answer. I love it. I had no idea such a tight-knit community, which I think can be so hugely beneficial because, again, fully immersed in the operation, really connected to, wanting and desiring and making it to work because they have their personal experience with family members. And the fact that you shared a lot of immigrants that are doing this is surprising to me. I had no idea. So thank you for shedding some light on what's really happening in this niche market. Now, if we're talking about your current students or those that have invested in your academy and they're off to the races running, they've set up their operation, they have success and they're enjoying it. What about scaling? Are we seeing this as just something that, hey, this is what I want to do, and now I'm scaling to other homes? Are we out of state or are we always local? Where are we looking in terms of doing it that way?
I always say live where you want and invest where it makes sense, because maybe your market might not be the right market to invest in this. Not every home works for this. So 31% of care home owners are remote owners. They live in a different place than where their care home is. I love that because if you live around the corner, you're going to be tempted to go every single day. Mm-hmm. My homes are 45 minutes away from me, and that's why I don't go very often, because I'm not often out in that direction. But if I have a dinner or an appointment, maybe I'll swing by and say hi, but I'm not often there. So I like that distance. It's far enough for me, but other people choose to do it out of state, across the country. That's very common. Now, in regards to scaling, we highly encourage that it's actually easier when you have between 2 to 4 of these, because you can share resources, you can share staff. When you're going to Costco, you can split up supplies. I mean, it literally gets easier the more that you have. And when someone comes to tour your home, if you have different levels, I have a level 3, a level 4, and a level 5. So if someone tours my level 5 and they say, this is amazing, but I can't afford this, I say, don't worry. I've got 2 other options. Let's go get you toured in those. Or vice versa, we can work up the ladder. And location, they're all about 20 minutes from each other. So again, we can kind of share those, oh, this one's better for you, this price point, location, whatever. So 2 to 4 is great. A 3-pack is kind of what we land on. But we have had students who've said, I want to go crazy. We have a couple out in Colorado who said, our vision is to open 100 of these. They started in, I want to say 2017 or 2018, and they're on home number 28 right now.
Wow.
They're out in Colorado, killing it, like doing amazing. Wow. We've got another guy out in Dallas who has, I want to say close to 250 beds. We have another 2 gentlemen out of Wisconsin. They have 14 care homes. Like, it's all over the place. There's nothing stopping you from doing this, because once you have it systemized, the first one is the hardest. Everything after that is just like, okay, I know the system. I know what to do. And you can go a lot faster. Also, if you're staying in the same city, you already know those rules and regs. You've already been working with the people in zoning and the county and all of that. So it helps as well.
Wow, they're clearly hitting it out of the park, and they're driven to really solve huge problems in the country. And I happen to be from Colorado, so I'll have to. I would love to connect with them at some point a little more. That's exciting. And I think you're right. You rise or fall to your systems and processes. And, the unorganized person is going to need to have, obviously what you provide probably in the academy is the systems and processes. Tell me more about the academy, and what do you offer to someone who, okay, they're hearing this for the first time. They're really connecting to the message. They're loving the opportunity. Sounds like a fit for them. They're ready to go financially. But there's a little hesitation, because as we all know, when we listen to interviews or podcasts, we're super excited about the content, and then we walk away and we think, okay, now what? I really need some hand-holding. What do you provide, Isabel, in your academy?
Yeah, we have been, doing the academy for, I think December was our 11th year. So it's been a minute, and I love it because it's really that place where things start to click. We're diving into, the demographics and how to find that in your area, how to find the other care homes and do market research if you want to buy an existing one. We're going through what renovations you need and floor plans, how to raise the capital, work with banks and private lenders, what you need in your pro forma, your business plan, how to do asset protection, marketing, how to run it remotely, memory care versus assisted living. I mean, every single thing that you need to know to get into this industry, we are breaking it down. I'm the lead educator, and then everyone else who's there with me, there's about 7 or 8 past students who sat in the class, learned the information, went out, made it happen, and now they're back to teach and train. We go through virtual tours of students' homes across the country, so you get to see and understand what these homes actually look like. We have Q&A panels, cocktail hours, dinners, lunches. I mean, the whole shebang. It's a party weekend, it's a fun weekend, and it's an educational weekend. We host those about every 6 to 8 weeks in Phoenix, Arizona, and they're really just so much fun. The next one we have coming up is March 6th through the 9th, so it's right around the corner. But those events are really just the moment where it clicks, it makes sense. You go home and you know exactly what to go do in your market. We give you videos before class, a big old binder with all the information during class, and docs after class to go help you really take those next steps. We want it to be something that is the launch pad for your growth and your journey in this space.
Wow, I love that so much. That's powerful, because I love that it's condensed into an action-packed experience of learning with practical tools that are applicable, that you're off to the races. You're not just wasting some time chit-chatting about, an investment strategy, like a lot of certain things can be like out there in the real estate investing space.
Yeah.
You might spend a ton of money going to something and not really leaving with the tools that you really need. But from, what you built, what you put together, and what's available, it's really like a one-stop shop. What's the ongoing support like after they join the event and they go through the process of learning about all this?
We do have coaching and mentoring available. We've really built the 3-day to be like, this is what you need. Like, go take this. You now know what to do. And we've had so many students who that's all they needed, right? They got everything they needed there. They were already an investor to whatever degree or already a medical professional. And they were like, this is great. I know what I need to do. They go do it, open their care homes, and they're set. But for those who want access to our team to be able to call 24/7, they want, our softwares and our apps. They want 165 docs to submit through the state. They want coaching and mentoring and all of this hand-holding support. We do make that available. The whole entire weekend is like education, education, education. On Saturday, when class is done, I basically say, hey, if you want to go to happy hour, go. We'll see you in 10 minutes. If you want to stick around and learn about how you can work with us, we'll share that now, and we're not going to talk about it again. Because I hate when I go to trainings and all it is pitching. It's like, I thought I was here to learn. Like, I thought you were going to show me. That's not what we want this to be. It's literally, class is done. If you want to stay in here, stay. And if you don't, get out of here. Go have fun. Like, you got it. So
I love that.
We have that available, but it's really just meant for those who have gone through the training and who want that additional support. It's that insurance model. It's that person you call. You hope you never have to call, but we're there if you need us.
I love that so much. To me, it's a win-win. You cover every base, the high level, expertise and knowledge in the industry, carving a new path for people in so many different respects, from those that are in desperate need of care for their family to investors looking to not just invest, but add impact and solve solutions that are critical. And of course, the ongoing education and support, I don't think you can lose. I'll be posting more in my community about what you're doing. I'll be sharing more details about how to join and your events when they're coming up, and how people can lock in to maybe this is the 2025 strategy. You've been, maybe you had a year where, you're kind of done with some of those old things and you're looking for something brand new to step into, and this is your opportunity. I did one more question in terms of people that might want to consider partnering in a venture. How often are you seeing people coming in partnerships, and how successful has that been?
We always say, don't get married in 3 days, because a lot of people come and they meet each other at the event and then they're like, this is great, let's partner up together. Well, you don't even know anything about them, so that's always tough for me. We give actually everybody who attends the class a 94 questions to ask before partnering, because there are so many things that, even if it's with friends and family, things go wrong. And the reason they go wrong is because they're not documented. So the big key is, if you are going to partner with anyone, and I mean anyone, literally it could be your brother from birth, I don't care. You need to go through that doc. You need to get things legal and documented. I built this whole business with my father, and he passed in 2021. And when he passed, everything went to my mother, as, in most trusts and wills, it would, right, to the remaining partner. But she is a very different business partner than he was. Her risk tolerance is completely different. Her education and background, how she thinks about things, completely different. So even though all of his business partners loved them as a couple, loved her as a wife, it's not always the right fit as a business partner. So be really cautious when you are going into business with someone. You shouldn't partner with anyone unless they have something you don't, and you really need that thing. Many times people just want to partner because they're afraid of doing things alone. Why do you want to split something when you can have 100% of it? Like, there's no reason unless they have something that you really need. So be cautious. But if you are going to partner with somebody, come to the training with them so you guys can learn together, and then go through that doc to make sure that you're really on the same page of what happens if. Divorce and death, they're nasty, and they do a lot of nasty things to people. So you really got to guard yourself.
So true. And thank you so much for bringing clarity to that, and the checklist that you provide so that people are making decisions without emotions. Like you said, you're showing up at this fun everybody's got high energy.
Yeah.
You feel like your whole life has been, like totally turned upside down in a good way. And then you make an emotional decision. And then for all of us, investors or business people alike, know that we need to separate those emotions. We need to pull those aside, and we need to really get, like you said, very particular and serious about what do you provide that I cannot provide. And if there's no solution to that, then you're right. Why wouldn't you want 100% of the profit? I see this a lot out there as people getting burned in JV agreements, getting burned with a partner that is losing their ambition or interest in a project. Now you're totally taking over, and it gets to be a little bit gray in terms of the legalities of that relationship. So I caution anyone who's listening in to take Isabel's high level experience and what she's seeing as people that are probably doing this or talking about it in her niche. I think it's really important and valuable to add that to the end, because people are ready to go and they're thinking, who can I get to do this with me? No, that's not necessarily a good way to look at it. But Isabel, this has been absolutely fantastic. I have thoroughly enjoyed my time exploring this with you and really bringing exposure and spotlighting something that I don't think a lot of people know about. If you have anything else that we did not cover, I'd love to hear what you might want to additionally provide or share with us as we sort of close this out.
I'm going to assume you guys hear amazing and incredible opportunities all the time with Tracy and in this group, because you really are exploring what I'm so passionate about. Like we talked in the beginning, it's a different way to use real estate, and we have to start thinking differently. It's not, the traditional methods are not going to work right now. Not in this market, not in this economy. We have to start thinking different, but find something that matches with your heart. If your heart is for clean and sober, go that direction. If your heart is for developmentally disabled adults, go that direction. If it is for seniors, then go this direction. But it has to be something that matches your heart and what you want to do and what matches your life, I guess I would say as well. Because really, you shouldn't get into anything for just the cash flow. You've got to have that why, that purpose-filled passion that's going to keep you driving through all the obstacles. So as much amazing things as you hear here, focus in on you. Every time you're listening to one of these shows or presentations, really think of have your you filter on, have your why filter on. Does this match my life? Does this match what I want to do? And if it does, go for it. And if it doesn't, say goodbye. You have to just let it go. And that's okay, because you don't want to just chase shiny pennies. You want to find that thing that really matches you and hone in on your skills and your purpose and your passion. And I think that's so important. So if this spoke to you today, and you want to learn more, definitely check out the links in the show notes. And I'd love to connect with you guys more, answer any individual questions you have. But this has been so much fun chatting with you. Thanks for having me on.
I love this so much. Thank you so much. And I feel like this is just an open door to other times we're going to connect on this very topic in my community and my audience, because I think it needs to be told again and again. I think it's a powerful message, and I'm super excited to see where this goes. I'll provide those links and promote more about the March event coming up if there's still time to join. Isabel and her team will send over all those details to me, and I'll be sure to get that out there. I am so thrilled that I've learned about this as a nurse, because I've seen this as a real need out there. And so thank you so much, Isabel. This has been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye now.